So, welcome back to Mixed Media. Ben has arrived just in time from his...
Basically a discussion with all the flute players and then some people performed. Anyway.
Okay, so he's going to do a nice hot take round of Reddit posts that me and Nathan found. Before we get into that, though, welcome back to Mixed Media. This is a live show every week at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find our link to our YouTube in the description, find our Discord where you can continue the conversation. And if you're on Rumble, we want to be on Rumble Live, so mixedmedia.locals.com. We just need one person on there in order to get live on Rumble. So now that my plugs are done, let's just go for it. This one is mine, or actually Steph found mine this week because it was a little bit bogged down, so I don't really know much about what's here, but this one came from my household. So this says John Williams and Aram, last name I'm going to absolutely butcher. Do you know how to say it, Ben, by perchance?
Yeah, well, I can't really see the thing. I pull it on my phone. It's much easier, faster to get on my phone to get it into Skype. And I can just see enough to like kind of blurrily see the name. It's Khachaturian.
Okay, yes, that name there.
Yes.
Aram, I'll call him. Am I the only one that, while listening to Aram, thinks that Williams took quite some inspirations from it? Also, I can't help myself each time I listen to is it, how do you pronounce this? Guyane lullaby?
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you like the standard English pronunciation or the correct pronunciation?
Give me the correct one.
The correct pronunciation is Guyane.
Okay, Guyane lullaby, but think that Ray's theme has a striking resemblance to it. And then this person who responded to it has even stronger opinion, says John Williams often takes more than just inspirations. Oftentimes he just his motifs, am I reading this wrong? Oh, he just uses motifs. Sorry, it's small on my screen too, unfortunately. From other composers like Aram, Shostakovich.
He said he just lifts motifs. That's what it is.
Okay, that's what that says. Shostakovich, etc. And Ben, what's your hot take?
Okay, can you, since I can't read it, what do they say? They say the lullaby from Guyana, or just the ballet itself?
They say the lullaby.
Quickly, so there are two points there. Was Williams like Khachaturian in any sense? So Khachaturian is kind of the three big 20th century Russian composers. He's in the triumvirate there with Shostakovich and Prokofiev. Well, he's kind of the Armenian guy. Draws a lot on Armenian and Georgian folk music. And Guyana is one of my favorite pieces. Literally, fantastic ballet. But you have to listen to the original version of the ballet. It's very hard to find. The score is almost impossible to find. I copied it all 800 pages of it while I was at Hopkins. They happened to have this, rare edition. Okay.
Wow.
Forms it all. It's a fantastic work. I arranged several things and performed them myself, arranged it for other people from the ballet. Fantastic work.
Dang.
It's also cut from 2001: A Space Odyssey, the lullaby, which actually isn't in the original version of it. But anyway, that was in 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I believe it ends up getting cut from the. Is it? I don't remember. Is it in the film or is it cut from the film? I think it's in the film.
Not sure. I'm not sure what part of the film it would be in.
Yeah. So what does he share with Williams? Well, Khachaturian is a really colorful composer, but like in a kind of ethnic way, and colorful, but like more brass heavy than a lot of like colorful composers. So it's like really bright colors in his music and very melodic. So yeah, you could say in some ways that Williams shares that. He's maybe not quite as like intricate with his brass as Williams is. In terms of like taking raw material, I can't come up with like the lullaby from Guyana is not like Ray's theme all, in my opinion. I don't really know what this person is talking about. Maybe I need to re-listen to Ray's theme because it's pretty unmemorable. But
That's a hot take in
notice.
itself.
Well, and I don't mean that so much because of Williams, but like, I mean, come on. Like, what is he working with? I mean, is Ray that intriguing? For the first like 10 minutes of the first, of episode 7.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic.
You know what's interesting? When Ray's theme was mentioned in the thing, I was thinking, what is Ray's theme?
Same.
And the weird thing is, I've listened to it many times because I think I like it. I'm sure I was like, I don't remember what it sounds like though, which is very strange.
It's kind of like this. It sounds, and I'm not the person. I'm taking this idea from somewhere else. Someone else said this first, but I agree with it. It sounds like it's a misplaced, like it's like a theme from a fairy somewhere in Harry Potter that like John Williams didn't use, and then he throws in like the day of Dies Irae chant in there too.
Oh,
it's just kind of like, what is it?
Interesting.
Yeah, very different though. The guy in a lullaby is like this rich cello, playing this haunting melodic line. It's very different. So I don't get that comparison at all. To the broader point though, does Williams I think Williams is inspired by a lot of things. You could probably if you're someone who's crazy like I am and listens to all of Sir Arnold Bax's symphonies, okay, who's an unknown composer. His first symphony, the main theme, is a cyclical theme, a cyclical structured piece. So it has the same theme beginning at the end okay. And the main theme is just Darth Vader's theme with one extra note. So instead of being like dun 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 dun, it's dun 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 dun. Okay, so did Williams know that? I mean, almost certainly not. I think it's more just coincidence. Are there other things that he's intentionally, borrowing? I mean, we've talked about Williams' inspirations before. I think he's inspired by a lot. When I've seen him rip things off, really the only thing I can think of is a lot of things in the original Star Wars because he was told he had to do that.
Ripping himself off.
No. Like in the first episode, he's basically because he had to convince Williams. I mean, I had to convince George Lucas not to just use temp music, not to use existing classical music. So his instructions were basically take Mars from the planets, and that's the opening of Star Wars, and take the beginning of second part of Rite of Spring, and that's the desert music.
Yeah, I mean, this person even mentions Holst, which makes sense with what you just said.
Yeah. Well, Holst is a classic example of, early 20th century big brass writing. So, of course, he has an impact on Williams. I mean, there's no way Williams has not studied every, inch of Holst's scores.
All right. Hot take number 2. Let me pull it up so I can read it better. Okay. So this one's from Nathan. It says, do something interesting rhythmically. In my view, there are more...
It's worth noting what the original question was.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and explain.
The original question was something along the lines of how can I make a good melody, essentially.
So this person's response to that is, do something rhythmically. In my view, there are more melodies that are supported by interesting rhythms than by interesting note choices. And it's easy to overlook. Most people think melody notes.
So I wouldn't say that's the only thing you can do to make your composition more interesting. But, rhythm is kind of the overlooked foundational element of music. And certainly in the world of musical analysis, nobody wants to talk about rhythm. And, I talked a lot about this with some of my mentors at Peabody about how that's kind of the lost frontier and maybe the final frontier, maybe not the final, but the next frontier of musical analysis and figuring out what's actually going on in music. Because even more than melody and harmony, in some ways, rhythm is the thing that we respond to first. That we know what a march rhythm is. generally. We know what a lullaby kind of rocking cradle rhythm is, and we respond to that instinctively without even, being able to articulate that. That's so ingrained in who we are as listeners. But it's the kind of thing that, like, if you're just focusing on pitches, which is what most, analysis tends to be, and then I think it also, can work its way into the minds of composers. We ignore the effect of rhythm. But, like, again, even more than melody and harmony, what's going to make you respond in music? It's the rhythm, right? Because you listen to something and you want to move, right? You want to, even if you're not going to get up and dance, in public, but, like, there's a sense of motion in it, and that's not because of the melodic notes or the harmonic notes. That's because of what it's saying to us on, like, a level of, respond to this by movement. So definitely don't ignore rhythm. I think it's fascinating. Like I said, that's kind of, I think maybe, and some of my mentors have said it, kind of the next frontier, the ignored pillar of analysis. Trying to figure out, like, well, so we know what all the relationships of all the pitches are, but, like, what is the rhythm telling us? We've forgotten that rhythm exists, and, like, I think that's really cool. When I went to Moscow and presented in Shostakovich at the Moscow Conservatory, my paper was actually on why Shostakovich is, his most frequently used rhythm is kind of a eighth note and two 16th notes, and that pattern repeated. But in his 11th and 12th symphonies, he basically doesn't use that at all and uses a dotted rhythm, dotted 8th, 16th instead. And, like, what is the significance of that? I think there's a lot that can be said about rhythm. So yeah, definitely don't, if you're gonna pretend like the rhythm doesn't exist as a composer, your music will not be as interesting as if you have some understanding, even if not like a well articulated understanding of what rhythm does.
Yeah, I gotta say, in pop music, rhythm is, like, at the forefront right now, just in a completely different perspective. Yeah. And I feel like in popular music, like the like rhythm has seeped in, being at the forefront has seeped into every single genre practically at this point. And it's a pretty obvious statement, but I think the more interesting thing is how the innovation keeps evolving, because obviously, with your radio songs, it's not going to be interesting at all what's happening with rhythms, but, like, the people who are pushing boundaries in terms of what people tolerate as rhythms in popular music, I think it's pretty cool. I think, all of it kind of comes from hip hop one way or another, and, like, this most recent strain, but it happens in the vocals, it happens in the rapping, it happens in the instrumentals, it happens, like, on every layer. And it's interesting seeing people play with pitch and rhythm more in tandem. I think a lot of it will sound very bad in 10 years, but some of it will end up being, like, classic, I guess, like more potent.
Yeah.
I always thought of it like as, like, music in two dimensions, as one dimension being rhythm and the other dimension being pitch. I don't know, I always found when I'm making a song, I'll start with one or the other. Sometimes I just start with the rhythm with no idea of the pitch, right? I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. Oftentimes it leads to nowhere, right? I'm just like, all right, this isn't going to work for whatever, right? But I feel like I maybe sometimes do pitch a bit more, but in general, it's pretty almost half and half what I start with.
I should add too. There's a Russian. He's kind of not really a music theorist. I don't know what you'd call him. He was a composer. But also wrote a lot about music, and so I talked about it in his paper that I gave, and interestingly enough, I kind of used him to talk about Shostakovich's music, even though Shostakovich hated him because he criticized Shostakovich's music. Anyway, he basically, really general overview what he says in his gigantic book basically is that he's looking for, like, signs of the zeitgeist in music, and his conclusion is essentially that rhythm is really where the pop, the zeitgeist, the voice of the people, he would say, exists in music. And I think in some ways I don't know if it's true or not, but he likes to draw examples from like different revolutions throughout history, and like, well, what kind of rhythms are being used in those revolutions, and like music in that period, why? And I don't know, it's a kind of fascinating avenue to like just start exploring, and if you can't come up with answers, that it's an interesting perspective that he thinks that rhythm kind of contains the zeitgeist.
I think I'm not sure if you'd like it, Ben, but Nathan knows this band. There's a band called Polyphia, which I have lately been obsessed with. It's a instrumental only band by and large. They have a few songs, here and there that have vocals, but it's mostly instrumentals, and it pulls from so many different places. Almost all of it is like rhythmic inspiration, and like when I say pulls from everywhere, I mean like literally everywhere, like pulling from everything from hip hop to R&B to classic rock to metal to even classical music. I would say there's a lot of the moment I heard one song from this band, I was like, this person is like is trained in some respect, and that's exactly what I learned when I looked it up, is that this person is musically trained. Who's composing this is very, very intentional with everything. But the most interesting thing is that this is mostly guitar music, right? This is mostly, guitar music, but it's like so inspired from so many different directions, and it all works together, and it's mostly rhythmically challenging and pretty much making its own genre at this point.
It's kind of math rock in general, though, right? Well, I guess some more than others, right? Definitely. Like, I would say Covet is a lot more rhythmically simple. I actually did an analysis of one of their songs as like just sort of music theory practice, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And trying to reverse engineer it essentially and be like, all right, well, why did you do this? Essentially, it was not easy, to be clear. Like because the rhythm is as a math rock song doesn't follow conventional quote unquote standard time signatures, right? What was it? I think there ended up being 7 beats in the measure or something like that at the start. But it doesn't change too often. It tends to say that. And some songs are just 4/4, right? Which is that still math rock? I don't know. Whatever. But but with Fluffy, I'm pretty sure it's pretty consistently like wild and changes relatively often.
And the crazy part is that Polyphia is extremely popular, right? Like they're like basically creating a genre. They're kind of breaking into like this metal space, like the old metalheads who don't really have any place to go because there hasn't been much innovation in like a long time, in rock music in general and guitar music, and they're latching onto this like very like other sound like that's never been heard in guitar music, and they're extremely popular. Like they're extremely popular, and so it's like crazy to know that like crazy time signatures and crazy rhythms and like these extremely different inspirations may be popular music, that's cool to hear people tolerate those sounds, like they're able to enjoy those sounds more, without, saying, this sounds boring or something like that,
Interesting. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I think maybe one other thing to add to, going off of this take and like advice to composers is, you kind of do, you think, you don't even think about it, but tempo and rhythm, are kind of, they go together too. So you can't forget like, the tempo or the speed of the music. And we've talked about this before, like, contrasting like modern action music with like James Bond, and like, because it is rhythm and tempo are related also to your heartbeat. Like the pace in which you go is going to affect, like literally it affects you, even if you're not going to get up and dance. Like it affects your breathing when you listen to something, tends to fall in line with the tempo. Your heart rate also tends to move towards what you're listening to. So, things to keep in mind.
Yeah. Underrated is the biological response to art. Very underrated in general, cinema, there's a lot of things that happen to you as well. Any hot takes like that pop in your mind, Ben, to end it off? Like anything you thought of over the week or anything like that you want to share that might be spicy?
Well, I decided I was going to take a bit of a plunge into some scores James Newton Howard's, because if you've been listening to the show, you know that I'm not the world's biggest fan of his music, but I don't know, like his complete catalog. Annoyingly, I've discovered that like most people's favorite score by him is Signs, but it's not available anywhere in the United States. No platform has it. So
Oh, interesting.
I find it illegally, but I'm not gonna do that. So I'm like, well, I don't
You
know.
got to pick up Signs.
Yeah. So I was listening to like Lady in the Water, which and the music is pretty highly rated, although the film I understand is a pretty universally panned. I don't know anything about the film, but I was listening. I read this plot synopsis, but which made no sense. And I listened to that. I'm like, see, it's just too like nondescript in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna keep diving into some other things, things that are not Signs apparently. But I don't know if anyone has a favorite James Newton Howard score that you would like me to listen to and like it's gonna change my mind. Please, I would like my mind to be changed, but
Yeah, you caught some flack for from James. Out of any fan out there, the James Newton Howard fans out of all the people were the most vocal.
well, look, I mean, I'm trying. So suggest something other than Signs that I can listen to, and I'm happy to change my mind.
Cool. All right. So we've been going on for a long time. Is there any significant news that I don't think I have any significant news? No, not really.
Technically not news, I guess, as it's not a new thing. But it's something I found out, so it's news to me. So I'm going to say it anyways. Roblox ends up taking... So with Roblox, as you know, like the way it works is it's like a platform, right? So people can make Roblox games and put it on the Roblox website. They take about a 70% cut out of all the profits made from those games.
Wow.
Which is about over twice industry standard. So that's disturbing. And I don't like Roblox anymore because I think they're perhaps taking advantage of kids essentially because they're kid developers who don't get it,
If you go to our Discord, you'll see a quote that was really strange from Roblox. I posted like a few weeks ago a quote from like Roblox like admin about like children like working with 30-year-olds, and I was like, this is not the play.
Where'd you post that?
On our Discord. Yeah, I posted a quote from an article, I'm pretty sure. And they have interesting plans.
It says, quote, "It must be a civil and safe platform that welcomes 6-year-olds at the same time as welcomes 30-year-olds who are working together." And you said, lol, what?
Like, who even says that statement with no, like, I don't know, like, just... That is not the play, Roblox. Stop it.
Yeah, Roblox.
Probably like I mean, I'm sure it is true because I've worked like coaching, as a swim coach coaching 6, 5, 6, 7-year-old kids, and they come in and they're that's what they do. They play Roblox all day during COVID. So they probably are interacting with,
and I like their sentiment is like pure. So they say, at least. I don't know. I don't trust these people.
I'm learning about this company. I'm just like, this is wild, dude. Like, it's not even like the 70% is not transparent. They take their fees on the way, essentially. If you get what I'm saying.
Oh my.
Yeah. As in. So essentially, like this is the biggest part, right? When you make your money, right? So there's a currency, a premium currency that you pay for on Roblox called Robux, right? You want to buy something in game, you buy Robux, and then you use that Robux to pay the for whatever item, right? Whatever thing you want in the game, right? The Robux. So understandably, the Robux goes to the developer, and Roblox takes a cut, right? This makes sense. It's already a high cut. It's already twice the standard, but it's, whatever, right? At least that makes sense, not in the numbers, but in the fact that they do that, right? The thing that doesn't make sense is that they don't give it to them in cash. They give it to them in Robux, right? So which means you can withdraw Robux, right?
Dude, that's the worst part out of anything you said.
What'd you say?
That's the worst part.
Huh?
They don't even give them cash. That's the worst part.
No, okay, so they give them Robux. You can withdraw Robux as cash. Right?
Oh, okay.
But they take a cut from that. They take a cut from that again, right? So that's what I'm saying by on the way, right? As in they know they have to do this, right? Now, what if you don't want that cut? Well, you can buy something else on Roblox from another creator where that gets siphoned again from the 70%, right? And if it just gets traded around, if the Roblox gets traded around a bunch of times, well, the Roblox value is the same, but Roblox has consumed almost all the money back, essentially, that you were supposed to make, right?
Dude, that's nuts.
Yeah, and
Robux, is that what you call them?
yeah, Robux.
Are they inflation resistant?
I actually don't know, if they
They're probably
change the
pegged
value
to the
of
dollar. I'm
inflation.
sure. I'm sure they're some multiple of a dollar or something like that.
Yeah.
I maybe it would be worth it if it was inflation resistant.
just put some in there and just leave it there. Yeah. But not only that, but there's a minimum withdrawal amount. So you can't just. So if you're a small developer, you can't just make your money back. No. You have to be a big developer. Well, because once you're a big developer, the minimum is 1,000 Robux. I don't remember what that is in dollars, but I believe one Robux is less than $1, so you can assume it's more than $1,000. I'm pretty sure. So you can't be a small-time developer. Essentially, they force you to keep going, right? Because if you make 500 Robux, well, you're halfway there. You might as well go the full way, right? And then you withdraw. But if you get 1,000, right? Well, do you want to withdraw now? Because if you withdraw now, you're not going to be able to withdraw again until you have another 1,000, right? So maybe you just want to wait. It's very scammy.
What a racket! That is an extremely
that existed in real life, in outside of the digital space. Some companies will essentially not pay their workers in dollars, but pay them in company currency that they can spend on the company. That's illegal now. So it has a name. I forget what it's called.
Dude, that's absolutely. You should do an episode just on this because I am so intrigued right now of how crazy of a mafia they've created at Roblox.
Maybe I'll just make a video on predatory publisher practice. Roblox, Steam, whatever.
Dude, that's insane.
But yeah, Roblox is by far the worst thing I've ever seen in terms of a platform. I mean,
so now think of that in light of we want 6-year-olds working with 30-year-olds, and it's going to be a great world unified by Facebook.
Oh yeah, it's
oh, what a world!
Yeah, the law just hasn't caught up to the tech, right? Which is kind of sad because I mean it's just illegal. It's just legal in another form, which is strange, but yeah.
Well, they're independent contractors, right? That's how you get around anything. All right. Any music news, Ben?
Nothing that I can think of. I'm gonna attempt to go to the Black Panther performance live to score a performance or live to film performance at Hollywood Bowl tomorrow. So I think that's the first live Marvel score. So
that's awesome.
I think it is, so it should be fun.
Are you going to do a mixed media episode about it?
Yeah, well, if I end up going, I have to make sure I can get there, but I do have that's a plan for tomorrow. So
sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, we need more of that Hollywood. Even though I don't like Marvel, at least someone's doing it. Come on, revive your cinematic, stuff. Do stuff like this. It's good. All right, so that was a great episode of Mixed Media, if you ask me. We talked about a lot of different things. If you did not listen to... What?
I enjoyed that one. I don't know why. I think it was better than most, in my opinion.
yeah. It was nice. It was nice. But if you did not see any of the other parts, that's because we split it into 3 different parts. And the way you see the other parts is you subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube. You follow us if you're on Twitch, although The VOD, the only thing we can show right now is the raw version of the live stream. If you want to help us to have like proper VOD in Twitch, if for some reason you don't want to use YouTube, which is completely respectable, you got to go to mixedmedia.locals.com so that we can pay for a Twitch membership so that we can actually do that. And that's a good plug for Locals. If you're on Rumble especially, you would love for us to be live. Our numbers on Rumble just increasingly climb, especially, our views and like our Rumble numbers, they just increasingly climb. And I really appreciate our Rumble family. Ben wasn't here when I said this last time, but we got our first comment on Rumble and it was the word nice. So thank you for the comment on Rumble. But we kind of want more comments on Rumble. So if you could just leave us a comment if you're watching us on Rumble, if you enjoyed this. But also, more importantly, we want to be on Rumble live because we could be the only live podcast on Rumble. That's crazy. Like the only live, essentially radio show on Rumble. I would freaking love that. So you got to go to mixedmedia.locals.com. All the dollars that go there go right back into the show, basically. Into helping us to expand and reach more ears, more faces, more eyeballs. So that really helps us out. If you're listening on podcast, or if you're not listening on podcast, we're available on all podcasting platforms. If you're in the car and you want to save bandwidth, if you want to pre-save episodes onto your phone, download them, whatever the heck. Podcasts are extremely useful and underrated. And I think podcasts are going to continue to expand into the future. We're actually probably seeing a very nascent form of audio content, which is extremely exciting. So we're on podcasting networks, but if you are listening on podcasts already, we love you, love that. And I see a lot of people are starting to add us to your auto download list, which is awesome to see. As soon as I post something, the download numbers are no longer 0 and I have to wait for people to come in and actually download the episode. But as soon as I upload it, I see a number. That shows me you guys are auto downloading our episodes, and I freaking love that. So what I would love even more is if we saw you in our Discord, which is for everyone, where we can congregate all of our platforms. We can keep the conversation going throughout the week. And if you want to share a piece of art that you're working on, it doesn't have to be anything we talk about. It can just be, a drawing you made or whatever the heck you do. Just share it with us on the platform. We want to hear it. We love supporting our fellow artists. We're all kind of scrapping it out ourselves to do what we love to do, and we want to support you doing what you love to do as well. So with that, I'll say thank you for watching.
Thanks. See ya.
See ya.